the leg still turns. The power to the grain elevator outside Corliss, Kansas was cut in March of 2013. The co-op that owned it had gone under. The county pulled the meter, and by that spring, the line to the building was dead. No electricity has reached it since. 11 years. And the leg still turns. The leg is the spine of an elevator, a belt of steel buckets that runs from a pit at the bottom up to the head house at the top, 130 feet in the air. It's how the grain gets lifted. It should not move on its own. It cannot move on its own. There is no motor spinning, no current in the wires, no fuel in any tank. Electricians have confirmed this 4 separate times. The belt turns anyway, slowly. About once every 6 seconds, the buckets shift, and somewhere in the concrete, a bearing takes the weight and knocks. You can hear it from the section road half a mile off, a soft metal tick carrying across fields that nobody has planted in a decade. The families who still live within earshot stopped hearing it years ago. They just call it the tick, the way you stop hearing a clock. This is the story of that sound, and of the 4 days in October when it went quiet. Corliss was never a town so much as a reason for a train to slow down. A depot, a church, 2 rows of houses, and the elevator. Always the elevator, the tallest thing for 20 miles. The reason any of the rest existed. Grain in, money out, and 140 people living in the space between. The elevator was built in 1919 and rebuilt in 1954, after the first one burned. That's not unusual. Grain elevators burn, and when they don't burn, they explode. Grain dust is one of the most dangerous things a working man ever handled without knowing it. Fine enough to hang in the air, dry enough to catch, and in a closed space it doesn't burn, it detonates. The elevator at Corliss killed 4 men on the morning of August 9, 1954, when the old wooden structure came apart in a blast heard 11 miles away. 3 were recovered. The 4th was not. They rebuilt in concrete that same year, taller than before, poured without stopping so the walls have no seams, 130 feet in a single unbroken pour. The kind of structure that outlives everyone who remembers why it was built. And it did. The town died the way these towns all die. Slowly, then all at once. The rail spur closed. The school consolidated. The church held its last service with 9 people in the pews. The last man left was the elevator's manager, Del Prather, who had started there sweeping the pit as a boy in 1961 and simply never left. Prather ran the place alone for its final 15 years. People said he treated the building less like a workplace than like something he was keeping company. He knew the sound of every motor and belt in it, by ear, the way you know the breathing of someone in the next room. When the co-op filed for bankruptcy, the bank sent a man to inventory the equipment for auction. He found Prather sitting in the dark scale office with no heat, the temperature near freezing. Prather told him the elevator didn't want to be sold. The man wrote non-cooperative on his form and left. Del Prather died that February in that office of a heart that had simply stopped. He was found 3 days later. The power was cut the following month. The leg started turning sometime after that. Nobody can say exactly when, because for the first year, nobody was listening. The first person to take it seriously was a county electrician named Boyd Hessler, sent out after a neighbor complained about machinery running on an abandoned property. He expected a crossed wire, a stray current, the ordinary explanation that every strange thing turns out to have. He spent most of a day inside the elevator with a meter and a flashlight. The main disconnect was open. The service line was cut at the weatherhead. Physically cut, the copper green, and dead. Every motor tested at 0. No current, no battery, no generator, no fuel of any kind. By every measurement he could take, the elevator was as dead as the town around it. He also confirmed in the same report that the leg was turning. He put his hand on the belt and felt it pull, slow and steady and cold, and he could not find the reason. His last line in the file is not the language electricians usually use. He wrote, "There is nothing running this, it is running anyway." Hessler asked not to be sent back. Then in October of 2021, the leg stopped. We know the dates because of the families on the section road. On the morning of the 12th, one of them noticed the quiet, the way you notice a held breath. For 4 days, the elevator stayed silent. They didn't describe relief. They described the opposite, that the silence had a shape to it, that the building seemed more full-standing quiet than it ever had turning. On the second night, one man's dogs would not go into the yard on the elevator's side of the house. On the morning of the 16th, the tick came back. Same pace, once every 6 seconds, as if it had never paused. And it has not stopped since. But something is different now. Before those 4 days, the leg turned the ordinary way, up the front of the shaft, the way grain is lifted, the way it turned for 70 years of real work. After October of 2021, it runs backward. The buckets come up the downside. Whatever the machine is moving, it is no longer carrying it toward the top. It's bringing it down. The elevator still stands. On a county road, Kansas is slowly letting go back to gravel. If you go, and people do go, you'll hear it before you see it. Grain in, nothing out. A machine with no power and no purpose, and nobody left to run it, lifting something down out of the dark once every 6 seconds, with all the time in the world. The fourth man from 1954 was never recovered. I'm not saying those two things are connected. I'm only saying the elevator has run for 11 years without a reason, that the one man who understood it told the bank it didn't want to be sold, and that none of them could explain it. And now, neither can I. If stories like this are why you're here, subscribe. There are more of them out there than anyone would like, standing quiet on back roads all across this country, still running long after the lights went out, and the leg still turns.